Now, since the war in Ukraine began 11 months ago, South Africa has refused to condemn Russia. Well, now the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is visiting South Africa just weeks before the two countries are due to hold joint military naval exercises along with China. At a joint news conference following talks with his South African counterpart, Mr. Lavrov repeated claims that the West was to blame for the war in Ukraine. For her part, South Africa's Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor told the conference that the only path to peace was through dialogue.
It's important, therefore, that I mention on behalf of South Africa our sincere wish that the conflict currently between Russia and Ukraine will soon be brought to a peaceful end through diplomacy and negotiation, as we believe this is the desire of all of us in the globe.
As regards the specific situation between us and Ukraine, it is well known that we supported the proposal of Ukrainian side to negotiate early in the special military operation, and by the end of March in Istanbul, two delegations agreed on the principles to settle this conflict. It is well known, it was published openly that our American and British and some European colleagues told Ukraine that it is too early to deal. In September, President Zelensky signed a decree prohibiting all Ukrainian officials to negotiate on anything with the Russian Federation. So I believe it is absolutely obvious as regards the origin of the problem of lack of negotiations.
The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov there, and before him the South African Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor. Well, Mr. Lavrov's visit to South Africa was not universally welcomed. Protesters gathered outside the building in Pretoria where the bilateral talks took place. Members of the Ukrainian community in South Africa condemned the visit and said Vladimir Putin and his military were carrying out war crimes in their homeland.
Really suffering big losses, and Ukraine, which were feeding South Africa and many other African countries, supplying grain. And actually today we cannot do it because our country is at war, and South Africa is making friendly kind of arrangements with Russia, which basically invaded our country.
I would tell him to stop lying, because he is the main liar for Putin and their regime, and to stop trying to deceive everybody in the world as to what they are doing in Ukraine and what their purpose is, and to admit that it's nothing else but a genocidal colonial war on the Ukrainian people, and to stop it, and to immediately withdraw all their troops, and most of all stop cowardly bombing our hospitals and our schools and apartment blocks.
Well, for more on this, let's cross live to Johannesburg and speak to Arise South Africa correspondent Mchelisi Masango. Good to see you, Mchelisi. What do you think Mr. Lavrov's aims are in South Africa? Is it part of a diplomatic offensive to win Moscow friends, which it clearly needs now, or is there some other reason?
Well, look, South Africa is one of Russia's important allies, on a continent that is divided over the invasion of Ukraine, in Western attempts to try and isolate Moscow because of its military actions. Basically, what we've heard, even throughout the course of the interaction between Minister Lavrov and Minister Pandor, was that they were really trying to strengthen ties between the two countries, because this is at a time where both countries enjoy what they called friendly relations. And they also used this time to try and somewhat defend the planned military drills with Russia Russia and China, saying that, hosting such exercises with what they called friends, was a natural course of relations for the two countries. And throughout the course of that media briefing, what I could also pick up was that, there was a very friendly tone on both sides, even when Minister Naledi Pandor came out to say that it was time that Russia brought, Ukraine to the negotiation table, and then talks were supposed to be had now in terms of fostering peace between the two countries. We heard how Minister Lavrov jokingly, said that negotiation would be the only way to move about resolving the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So interestingly, nothing as we've seen throughout Lavrov's press conferences since the invasion of Ukraine happened some while ago, Charles. So it's going to be interesting to really see what's going to come out of this, because throughout his itinerary, he also said that he plans on visiting other countries such as Eswatini, our neighboring Eswatini, Botswana, as well as Angola, to continue with his trip.
And Mchelisi, the fact that Mr. Lavrov is visiting now and South Africa is about to welcome Russian warships next month for those joint naval exercises with China. I mean, how can South Africa claim that it is remaining neutral in the conflict in Ukraine?
Indeed, that's blurring the lines, I can tell you for sure, because this is also at a time where South Africans themselves have come out to lash out at the International Relations and Cooperation Department, saying that how do you host a person that, is carrying out an attack on another country? And how do you host a person who's on many occasions said that he would not be willing to go to the negotiation table and broker some sort of a peace deal? So those are some of the comments that are coming through in the form of South Africans right now. And as we are having this conversation, a contentious issue at the press briefing that they had earlier on today was this particular issue of the military drills that will be happening. And they defended these to say that these are planned drills. And they said that hosting such exercises was what they called, something that friends would be doing as a natural course of relations, of which most South Africans also took to Twitter to lambaste this, to say that South Africa is in a way lacking a backbone in this entire thing, because they failed to call Russia out. They failed to be some sort of a brother that is able to crack the whip and say, you need to sort this out. You need to solve this out. And they were quiet throughout the course of last year. When South Africa was even forced to take a stand on this matter, they did not. So some of those conversations that are happening right now in the country, and most South Africans, I can tell you, did not really welcome Minister Lavrov.
Mchelisi, thanks very much indeed. Mchelisi Masango is Arise South Africa correspondent, and he was talking to me there from Johannesburg.